I'll strive to make it as lively as possible because MMDA is really wanting to get this going. When Chairman Tolentino really, first order of the day in 2010 when he stepped in, he wondered if there is really a plan for the whole of Metro Manila. The answer is, yeah, we have a framework, and we have actually, it's all cascaded to individual local government unit plans, which we call CLUPs, or Comprehensive Land Use Plans, Zone Ordinances, etc. But there's no way we can even craft one story as we speak right now. And our job right now is, for the last 9 months, or 1 year at the rate we're going right now, is seeking funding from World Bank and OSAID just to get this story running again all over. And why? Because first, the momentum is already very high. The fundamentals of the country is already there, and how sad it is if we won't take advantage by even presenting a plan. In the eyes of the world, Metro Manila is just one mega city and not 17 fragmented cities and one municipality, 16 plus 1. So our job is to review all the CLUPs of our LGUs, identify the strengths and the weaknesses, opportunities as well, and make sure that we have catalytic programs to be able to justify further investments to make people see Metro Manila as a thriving city of the future. We are number 12 in terms of population all over the world. We are a very young population. The rest of the world is aging. How sad it is if you don't take advantage of this. So, and at the back of our minds, everything is revolved around inclusive, and hence, that's why we're probably invited here, being also seen as an active partner of inclusive mobility. It's all about spreading development across all sectors. And we are very, very conscious of that, except that it's not hard, it's not easy to just put it into one story. Everybody can come up with a story, but we have to start with the vision. And the vision that we did in the last 9 months is not a top-down, but a bottom-up, similar to the thrust of our inclusive mobility program, is to be able to get some inputs from everybody, just to be able to come up with the 7 different elements of this vision. So hence, I'll jump straight because I'm only given 15 minutes. I'm probably down to 10 minutes now. And just to give you the basic elements that identify, 1, economic opportunities of Metro Manila. What are the things that are going well already for Metro Manila? Number 2, what is the right structural plan to support the development of the city? I tell you, ang gulo-gulo ng plano natin ngayon. You know, if you could look at the Google map, it's just so messed up with all browns, no more greens, etc. So we'll go on with the elements. So first, economic opportunities. No? What are the good things going right now? Number 1, Sir JR, may I do the honors of helping? No, to help me. Thank you, because I do the talking and you do the page down. Thank you. Thank you. So first, BPO is an opportunity. We have a very young market, thriving, 497 new graduates in Metro Manila every year. 75% of the BPO industry is in Metro Manila. Fine, it's going to be spread all over, but our universities are here. So we need to make sure that, you know, pag kinalakihan na nila Metro Manila, gusto nila maghanap ng trabaho dito malapit sa Manila. So we will have to be able to come up with an ecosystem that supports that kind of setup, where people will be able to find jobs, even with K+12. We have high school graduates who'd be able to find jobs right away. Our job here, why BPO? We are not ranking all the elements in chronological order or priority, but because we say that this is all about jobs, and we're talking about jobs for the future. BPO is one opportunity for the young market, but we want to also upgrade our human resources to go for knowledge process outsourcing. We are already a rich English-speaking country. We have best Western-based legal structures. HR systems are already there. We have good engineers here who can outsource. We can outsource. The world can outsource talents here for engineering, legal, HR, accounting, digital, software development, gaming, etc. So we want to elevate it more than just a call center. While that is also good, because we're talking about people having to move up from low income to middle class, is something that we'd like to support. From a Greenprint development plan, what is the implication for MMDN once we put things together in coming up with a plan? Is the right structure to support that? Anong ibig sabihin nun? Kailangan ang telecommunication systems is there to support all buildings. There's a BPO Escolta program right now that just revives all these old buildings and put more people there working. They don't have to build new buildings, actually. We just have to build infrastructure there. We just need to have walkable streets that can make them ride safe and walk safe to their terminals when they take the ride, so that they don't have to take taxis every day that will really eat up into their income. So the key there is to be able to provide a conducive ecosystem that allows people to work safely, comfortably, and for our investors to also say, hey, I'd like to invest in the Philippines because it's conducive already. It's very young. So, and very young and vibrant. So what we see is that Metro Manila in the future, in anticipation of all the rest of the elements, is that Metro Manila will be a 24/7 city. We have a combination of BPOs, entertainment, and fun. Again, we go back to tourism. We're not doing this in isolation. It's linked to every other government agency wanting to put more vibrancy in Metro Manila, as given that there's 35% GDP contribution and potentially 55% if we redefine Metro Manila to be Greater Metro Manila area to include regions 3 and 4A. And we believe that's going to happen soon, where Metro Manila becomes part, where region 3 and 4A will become part of us. Now that Cavite with 3 million is already part of us, essentially. It's just that, you know, it's already metro in essence, no? So wala na tayong mga political boundaries here. It's basically the dynamics that spread already all over beyond our 17 cities. So that's the implication for our first element. Second, JR. Next, to support the economic opportunity of everything else that will go to the elements is green large-scale city building. Construction will contribute 13% of our GDP. It can even go higher. We think we're underspending. Everybody believes that. Na-delay ang ating infra spending as far as DPWH is concerned, but I think all development program, the realty developers have already been jump-starting and God willing, no, doing the right things also in terms of planning, less of cement but more of green space. So that's also our advocacy. What we want is to be able to essentially, the story here is that we will provide jobs for the poor, and the jobs are already available when you do construction. That's gonna have a huge multiplier effect when it comes to giving jobs to everybody when you start building more structures, and not roads, let me clarify, but more mixed-use development and basically urban renewal initiatives. So we are, of course, we will have to recognize that there's a huge backlog on housing as well. Medyo 3.5 million ang backlog natin sa housing. If we start building houses for the poor and do it right, vertical housing, how great it is that everybody starts building and everybody starts creating jobs, and the rest of our urban poor would actually have a place to live eventually. So that's how we want. That's why green city building is all about inclusive growth of infrastructure initiatives. Related to green large-scale city buildings, third JR, is a continuation. Metro Manila, in some cities, the metropolis is like centered into just one central business district. But because we're 17, inevitably, we are already multinodal, no? Meron na tayong it's called the multi-centered structure. So that's good. That means that I don't have to go to Divisoria all the time because I have St. Francis Square already if I live in Pasig. So that's the implication here. You don't have to go too far and contribute to greenhouse gas emissions. So the key here is to be able to support the structure that allows more business activities into different nodes. Emerging urban districts are coming out. There's probably 18 of them defined right now. We are excited to see more of it so that we could start spreading the congestion as well as spreading opportunities outside of the central business districts. So we want to also capitalize the current spatial potential to be green and time-saving by enhancing connectivity within and between urban centers also. So the key there is everybody should be able to move around freely and not waste 2 hours of their time commuting. Our advocacy, siguro si Aaron tsaka si Deo maririnig to several times, our advocacy is really public transport and non-motorized transport if we can. We in the end are against private cars. For the private car owners, you will have to hurdle traffic every day right now. You can complain forever, but you are part of the problem. 70% tayo ang nagdadagdag. Although, in terms of road deterioration, mga buses and trailers. So in terms of wear and tear of the roads, we are actually contributing much of the expense and the congestion. And that's precisely why we say, if we have mass transit, in as much as many countries, modern at that, are actually promoting mass transit, how great it is if all of us will start giving up our cars and say that commuting is a pleasant experience. So that's what Greenprint wants to promote when we start doing this and putting our act together with your help. So, so it's all about, our Greenprint is all about bringing people closer to jobs and services. The third opportunity is peri-urbanization. You see Metro Manila here is the brown, literally brown, sad to say. No, that's not intentional. But if you look into the yellows and the oranges, our population growth is actually higher by 3%. Dito 1.8% lang tayo. Anong ibig sabihin nun? We've probably stopped growing inside, but when you start expanding your family, your opportunities are actually outside when it starts. When you look at building your new houses, the new couples can afford to buy a house in Cavite or in Bulacan or in Novaliches, closer to Bulacan, San Jose del Monte. So that's a reality, and that's okay, because the key there is for as long as our Greenprint and all the government agencies would be able to support a transport system that allows them to go to the inside of Manila and go Metro Manila and go back again pleasantly and with productivity, go home early, spend time with the family. That's all right. So we want to say that peri-urbanization remains an opportunity for us. We don't want to congest the inside of Metro Manila. It is congested, but we will argue on that later. But we also want to make sure that the spread of opportunity is also on the peripheries of Metro Manila, which we call peri-urban. So that also it also now justifies, if we have accessibility, it's okay to start building houses also in the fringes of Metro Manila. Ngayon, hindi pa na-isolate pa lang sila. Tama po yun. I'm sure the urban poor communities will start arguing, ang layo nga, nilalayo nyo pa kami. So what we say is, the Greenprint is supposed to advocate that when we put them there, they are not outsiders. They are part of Metro Manila. So that's what our advocacy is all about. Next is peri-urbanization livelihood. Opportunities are agriculture, fisheries, semiconductor, and now emerging are aircraft manufacturing, and we've lost some of it in the 1998 during the financial crash. We've lost it again in 2008. Manufacturing firms have already moved out of the Philippines, in fact, but we think that because we're thinking 2030 and we're thinking that China might already even out up to a certain point, we think that Philippines will be able to, stands to gain more opportunities for people to rethink Metro Manila all over again. Again, we go back to fundamentals of growth, anti-corruption, business investment programs are already there. We're going to host ADB next year, 2015. So kailangan magpapakita rin tayo na we are a country for consideration for investment. So we'd like to think that we're going back to connectivity and network systems again. That it's all right to start getting into the peripheries of Metro Manila in developing Metro Manila as a whole. Next slide. The other element of our Greenprint is retrofitting communities. Just a trivia. If we start unlocking the land value of our Metro Manila, potentially 260 billion US dollars, not Philippine dollars, but US dollars. That's how big the opportunity is. But if you look at our city, it's all skyscrapers here, but it suddenly collapses dramatically and pitifully down at the nearby. Why? Because there's so much informality going on. And what we want is to bring formality back. And that's going to be a challenge, no? But really, what we want is to start building them back and lifting them into like mid-rise or high-rise, and super high-rise, and we have high-rise and we have mid-rise. And that includes social housing as well. So if we start moving buildings and structures to a vertical development, we now have more open space that we can start enjoying all over again. And that goes back to opening our waterways, reviving our ferry system that compels us to clean the river some more. And we're now going to go. Right now, as we speak, there is a committee that tries to get into the land titles of areas near our esteros just to be able to formalize it once and for all. Ang problema, hindi tayo makagalaw because there's a whole lot of informalities, walang papeles, wala. So, but to be fair, the government has already given up some of their 8 properties just to get the ball rolling. Of course, it will not be enough to to absorb our 3.5 million families right now, or not families, but population, but we just need to get into more models in the next few years and not 2030. Again, when we speak, this is not 2030. We're talking about leading to a 2030 of a competitive Metro Manila. And even before that, that would be great. So the Green Print is an advocacy of not moving people outside, but actually to maintain the socio-economic diversity at a local level. So at the end of the day, we don't want them out. There would be mixed signals in the short term, sad to say, but our Green Print, if we start the ball rolling on how this will really happen, is really maintain that socioeconomic structure where we need our security guards who can live nearby, our sales girls, our McDonald's people are actually, you know, they don't have to eat up into their salaries just to go to Malabon every day and say mag-uutang na naman sila and they're absent the following day. So we don't want those little stories. We want them to be reintegrated into our into our structure for Metro Manila. Next, Sir JR. Okay, reducing vulnerability is all about DRRM, disaster risk reduction management, adaptation, and management, adaptation, and resiliency. So this is basically, in everything that we're planning, even at local government unit level, even in your own businesses, everything will actually shut down if you don't plan well. No, when climate change is already a given. We've seen unprecedented disasters that have never happened before, and now we'll see na nagbabago, may mga bagong areas na nababaha na. So and hindi lang nababaha, maglilindol pa tayo in just a matter of time. And you know, all of these plans get erased if we are not even including this as mainstreamed into our planning. So therefore, that means having to be conscious into our daily planning, basically disaster risk reduction management. And that goes for non-structural as well. Though non-structural is about community strengthening our communities, empowering empowering individuals to make sure that they know how to handle themselves well. Media has been very supportive on this. We need to do more of that. In the meantime, that infrastructure, when DPWH starts talking 2035 of like 325 billion pesos, it's not gonna happen tomorrow. We do have 5 billion that will happen in the next 2 years, but what are we gonna do tomorrow? So that's really the question. So in the meantime, there will be some stages that we have to, I time out.